Currently, X-Men 97 is airing on Disney+, and it's been getting rave reviews for every episode. The series currently has a 98% Rotten Tomatoes score, and has been rated the highest of any Marvel show on the platform on IMDb. It's safe to say that the show is a major success. However, if there's one thing that I keep seeing on Twitter about the show, other than praising the show's magnificent writing and art style, or mourning the loss of Gambit, it's been people complaining about the age-old love triangle between Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Wolverine. A lot of people are really annoyed by this trope being continued into X-Men 97 from the original series. It's seen as rather dated for the current era, and there's been a lot of fingers pointed towards X-Men Evolution's interpretation of the character as a better version due to the love triangle being dropped entirely, with Scott and Jean being teenagers and Logan being an adult. A central figurehead behind the complaints is YouTuber Cosmonaut Variety Hour, or Marcus. Or at least, that's what I assume due to his phrasing of his view of Wolverine's character being used over and over again in these discussions, as well as other arguments he's previously brought up in his X-Men videos also being used. And that's where I'm a little bit mixed. Before we get started, like always, I mean no disrespect or ill will towards Marcus, or any of the people who share his sentiment. This video is more of a response to the character analysis provided by those with these views, rather than a personal attack. The argument raised can essentially be boiled down to one main argument about the character of Wolverine, and this is where I really take issue. The argument is as follows. Why does Logan even like Jean? There's nothing about her that should appeal to him, they have nothing in common. Logan is an immortal samurai. He should be a wise mentor to the X-Men. Now, Wolverine is probably my favorite superhero. I've read countless stories with the character and find myself gravitating more and more towards his world than other superheroes I've traditionally liked in the past. And these views of his character have always not sat well with me. So let's tackle this head on. Wolverine is not a samurai. Sure, Wolverine has been to Japan and studied under great masters, and was essentially a samurai for a long time. This statement is not meant to undersell the importance of Japan in his life. His time in Japan is massively important to his character and informs a lot of his decisions. He met two of the great loves of his life there, Mariko and Itsu, and fathered Dakin with the latter. He also got the one thing that can kill him made there as well, the Muramasa blade. And like I previously said, he's lived there a couple of times for a while. However, to say that Logan's time in Japan is the sole thing that defines him is really stretching it. Logan is practically immortal. He has lived a long life and has worn a lot of hats. One of them for sure was a samurai, but he's also been a Canadian soldier, a special forces agent, a mercenary, a lumberjack, a cowboy, a mindless weapon, and a superhero. All of these among many, many, many other roles. The point is, saying Wolverine is an immortal samurai is simplifying and misrepresenting his legacy as a character. He definitely holds some values dear to him from his time being one, but to say that this is the sole thing that drives him is undeniably false. If you really want to put Logan into a specific category, the best thing he can be compared to is a lone warrior archetype. A character like Mad Max or the Man with No Name. He's a mysterious and gruff loner who shows up just at the right or wrong time to make a difference, good or bad. Wolverine has a lot more in common with the cowboys of old westerns than he does with the samurai of Akira Kurosawa films. So much so that the 2017 film Logan, which is widely regarded as the best Wolverine movie and one of the best movies in the superhero genre, took direct inspiration from movies like Unforgiven in order to craft its plot. Hell, one of the inspirations for the movie, Shane, even makes an appearance in the film, and one of its quotes is used by Laura at Logan's eulogy. Now, why am I making this distinction? Why am I going out of my way to draw such a clear line in the sand here? Well, it's because of a simple factor. Thinking of Wolverine as a samurai leads to a misinterpretation of his character that contributes to false assumptions being made about him and what adaptations of the character should depict, i.e., Wolverine should be an older mentor to the X-Men. This one really bothers me. X-Men Evolution is a great cartoon, and its depiction of Wolverine is good. It's not my favorite, but it's pretty good. But a lot of people end up pointing to this interpretation of the character as the one that future versions of the X-Men should lift from when adapting the character. Again, citing the immortal samurai view of Wolverine's character as a reason why. They argue he should be that wise mentor, imparting advice and knowledge on his students. This is wrong. Again, the best X-Men stories and best Wolverine stories acknowledge one simple fact. Wolverine is a broken man who needs support. He's lived a long, painful life, and the one thing he needs more than anything else is family and support. He's also made many mistakes. mistakes that often catch up to him. Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, Silver Samurai, Omega Red, all enemies he made before he even ran into the X-Men. Logan needs the X-Men. He doesn't need to mentor them. If anything, he needs them to mentor him. There's a reason Logan views Professor X as a father figure despite being older than him. It's because before Xavier, Logan was aimless and had no real code or dream to live by. Xavier gave that to him. The X-Men gave that to him. Before them, he was an animal, living day to day with no reason to live, nothing driving him beyond the instinct of survival. The X-Men gave him a reason to live, a family, a dream, and a code. Logan learns from them. He doesn't teach them. Logan learns different things from each member. They all challenge him in different aspects to be better. It's not exclusively one-sided, as some younger members like Kitty Pryde and Jubilee view Logan as an older brother. It's give and take. Logan doesn't just impart sage advice and always behave rationally. His relationship with the X-Men is complicated. He doesn't always stay with them, and sometimes he behaves poorly. They don't give up on him though. They believe in him. If you were living at X Mansion as one of the students there, you wouldn't view Logan as a teacher or a mentor. He would be your fun and crazy uncle. He's not always there, but you know he cares for you, and that's enough. Now, let's talk about Jean Grey and her importance to our favorite rough and tough mutant. Jean Grey matters to Wolverine. She is one of the most important love interests he has for a reason. She might seem like just a normal girl to a lot of people, but that's part of what makes her important to Logan. She grounds him, and much like Xavier, she gives him a reason to believe in something bigger than himself, to help him become more than he is. She's everything that Logan wasn't before he met the X-Men, an ambitious and moral woman with dreams of helping the world, who would let nothing get in her way. Is it really crazy to think that Logan would be attracted to someone like that? Someone who believes in him and gives him something he hasn't had for a long, long time. Jean can almost be considered a teacher to Logan. She shows him by example the kind of person Logan wants to become. I admit, a lot of adaptations of the age-old romance doesn't accurately show these elements, and a lot of writers have forgotten why this relationship works to the extent it does in recent years. A lot of these modern interpretations forget the main central aspect to their romance and instead depict it as some sort of primal attraction. They just find each other really hot, instead of learning from one another. So I don't fault Marcus and people who agree with him entirely for their opinions on the matter. They haven't been shown a good interpretation of what makes them work in a very long time. As for the other aspect of the love triangle, Cyclops, well, I mean, come on. Good X-Men stories always have some soap opera elements. Cyclops and Wolverine competing for the attention of Jean Grey is like just typical hyperdrama. Like, come on guys, it's just fun. It's not that serious. This is all to say, give Logan and Jean a chance. I think X-Men 97 has been developing the relationship in a really interesting direction, with Logan pining for Jean but seemingly knowing it's for the best that she's not with him, even if it hurts him deeply. I also think you can see Jean's side of the relationship a lot better in the show. You understand why she would be more attracted to and interested in Logan than Scott when she comes back. Scott has been married to her clone Madeline Pryor for years at this point, and Scott and Madeline even have a baby together. Add on top of that the fact that Scott is rightfully suspicious of Jean, and doesn't know what to think or trust anymore, and you can see why Jean would gravitate more towards Logan, who has been open, honest, and on her side from the start. They work a lot better here than, say, the Bryan Singer X-Men movies. With more episodes of X-Men 97, Deadpool and Wolverine, Marvel's Wolverine, and a brand new X-Men movie in the MCU on the horizon, I think it's an important time to remind people why this dynamic works. And more so than that, remind them of the important characteristics of Wolverine, who he is and how he functions, so that way when we get new versions of Logan in Marvel's Wolverine and the MCU, people will have the right expectations.